In this video, you'll learn how to process dentures and provisionals faster and cleaner than ever before with the anaxform flasking system. With anaxform, we create a silicone putty matrix rather than flasking in stone. This eliminates the boil-out process and results in a reusable mold that can be injected over and over to create additional dentures, scanning appliances, provisionals, and more. Plus, we cut 1.5 to 3 hours off traditional processing times without sacrificing any detail or fit. No special equipment needed, just a pressure pot and the anaxform starter kit. So let's get to it. The first step is to form a base on the model that will fit precisely on the anaxform flask base. This is done by placing any magnetic metal piece in the anaxform base former and pouring stone over the metal piece. Place the model firmly into the stone, taking care to position the model centrally in the former for ideal positioning in the flask. Next, we make our first matrix layer using Matrix Form 60 silicone putty. Measure 1 scoop of A part putty and 1 scoop of B part putty, then knead together until you see a consistent color. Form a long roll with the mixed putty and gently press the putty down to cover the entire wax-up. Next, return the model to the flask and replace the lid, checking for clearance around the matrix. Place the model in a dry pressure pot for 2 minutes at 2 bar of pressure. This ensures all details are captured and enhances retention of denture teeth during the later processing phase. Next, we fill the remaining space in the flask lid with Matrix Form 70 silicone putty. Mix 4 to 5 scoops each, A and B parts, until you see a consistent color. Split that mixture in half and apply the first half around the Matrix Form 60 matrix and in the palatal area. Place the second half of the mixture in the flask lid. Then firmly press the flask lid down until you reach all 3 metal stops. Fully engage all 3 nuts on the flask to ensure the lid is completely stabilized, then press excess putty down into the lid and allow putty to set completely. It takes about 4 minutes. After setting is complete, you can open the flask and simply remove the wax up by hand, skipping the messy boil-out step done with traditional systems. Be mindful of the spacers when removing the lid, as they can fall from the rods or come off in the matrix. To remove the matrix from the lid, use a lab knife to trim excess putty from the top. The matrix now can be removed and reinserted as many times as necessary. Details are beautifully captured in the silicone matrix, and at this point, excess putty and undercuts are easily trimmed with a blade. To prepare the matrix for injection, we create injection and exit sprues using the small and large anaxform hand drills. Position the channels in the most distal portion of the area you will inject. In this case, injection of a denture base, the channels will be made in the retromolar pads. Also, ensure the drills exit the matrix with plenty of distance from the borders of the lid. This simplifies injection later. Remove all debris from both channels so bits of silicone aren't processed into your denture base later. Now, create reservoirs at the top of each injection channel using a small blade. Next, remove all teeth from your wax-up and steam clean all wax and residue from each tooth. The anaxform premium steam filter separates and organizes teeth for facilitated cleaning. To prevent acrylic from sticking to your stone model, apply anaxform separator to the entire model surface. To ensure the denture teeth and base bond well, clean and prime all teeth with new Outline skin primer. To prepare the flask for injection, place your model back on the base and make sure all spacers are in place. Replace the flask lid and confirm all 3 metal stops are reached. Then screw down all 3 nuts to lock the lid in place. Now it's time to prepare the acrylic for injection. Mix anaxdent Acryline denture acrylic with a ratio of 10 powder to 7 liquid by weight. Stir slowly and gently to limit incorporation of air bubbles. Slowly pour the mixture into the anaxform PMMA injector syringe. The pouring technique shown here also limits air bubbles. Once all acrylic is in the syringe, replace the plunger and press until air is extruded. Notice the PMMA injector is loaded in the anaxdent dispensing gun. Use of this gun facilitates proper injection. You'll find a link to a how-to video on dispensing gun modification in the description section on this video. Wait approximately 1 minute for acrylic to polymerize to a honey-like consistency. To inject, hold flask at a 45-degree angle to the counter with the larger sprue channel in the lower position. Inject in the larger sprue channel slowly and with consistent pressure. If injection is not possible, retract the tip of the syringe slightly, as the syringe tip might be bottoming out on the stone model. Injection is complete when acrylic appears in the exit sprue channel. Continue extruding acrylic as you slowly lay the flask flat on the counter and as you remove the syringe tip from the matrix, filling injection channel reservoirs with excess acrylic. Process PMMA in a warm pressure pot for 25 to 60 minutes at 2 to 3 bars of pressure. Do not submerge the flask. Proper water level is a few millimeters below the top of the flask lid. Material sets in 25 minutes, but curing for 60 minutes brings the rest monomer content down to a level comparable with heat-processed dentures. Remove the denture from the flask by first popping off the acrylic buttons. Loosen all 3 nuts and carefully remove the lid, again being mindful of the spacers. The silicone matrix is gently removed, revealing a detailed base with completely clean surface and little to no flash. An intimate fit comparable to automatic continuous injection systems is the result. Trim and polish the denture base to prepare for delivery. The anaxform system enables precise, exact duplication of your wax-ups, with all dimensions and detail perfectly preserved. In the next video, we'll show you how to use the same matrix to inject a provisional prosthesis. Simply reapply separator to the stone model. Then reassemble the flask and prepare for injection. Mix the appropriate shade of new Outline PMMA using a ratio of 2 powder to 1 liquid by weight. Mix gently for 20 seconds and allow to polymerize for 30 additional seconds. Next, pour the mixture into the anaxform PMMA injector in a thin stream, again limiting bubbles. Refer to the description section of this video for new outline shade tips. Injection is facilitated with the anaxdent dispensing gun. Refer to the description section for a link to a how-to video on modifying the anaxdent dispensing gun to work with your anaxdent PMMA injector. Holding the flask at a 45-degree angle to the counter and with the larger sprue channel in the lower position, inject the PMMA slowly and with consistent pressure. Continue injecting to fill reservoirs with PMMA and continue extruding PMMA while removing the syringe. Cure in a warm pressure pot for 15 minutes. Again, ensuring water level is a few millimeters below the top of the flask lid. Remove the provisional from the flask by first popping off the acrylic buttons, then removing all 3 nuts in the lid. Gently remove the provisional from the matrix to reveal a precise duplication of the wax-up with little to no flash. For ideal pink aesthetics, create root contours as you cut back to make room for the application of pink composite. All of the products in this video, with exception of the pressure pot, are available from anaxdent North America by calling 877-897-6598 or on our web shop at anaxdentusa.com/anaxform.